It all began on a rainy Thursday evening in New York City. The kind of evening when the streets glisten like polished glass, when neon lights blur in puddles, and when people hurry home, holding their coats tight, desperate to escape the cold drizzle. But for Emily Carter, that Thursday was not just another gray evening. It was the day she accidentally walked straight into a scandal that would later make her question every choice she had ever made about love, loyalty, and trust. Emily was 29, an ambitious journalist for a lifestyle magazine. On the surface, her life looked enviable: a steady career, an Instagram-perfect relationship with her long-term boyfriend Ryan, and an inner circle of friends who adored her. But like so many things in this city, the surface was only a glossy mask. Ryan, her boyfriend of 5 years, was charming, good-looking, and successful. He worked in finance, which meant long hours, expensive suits, and a paycheck that allowed them to live in a stylish Manhattan apartment. But in the last few months, something had changed. Ryan became distant. He stopped texting her sweet good morning notes, canceled dinner plans more often than not, and when he did come home, he smelled faintly of cologne that Emily didn't recognize. At first, Emily dismissed it. Relationships have ups and downs, she told herself. He's stressed. Maybe he's planning something special for our anniversary. Maybe I'm just imagining things. But the signs piled up. Ryan's phone, once left carelessly on the counter, was now locked and glued to his hand. He started showering as soon as he got home, sometimes late at night. When Emily mentioned marriage, he brushed it off with vague comments: "Let's not rush things, or we have time." One night, unable to shake off the gnawing suspicion in her chest, Emily did something she swore she would never do. She checked his phone while he was in the shower. Her heart hammered as she unlocked it using his birthday. She scrolled through messages, and that's when she saw her. The contact name was saved as Michael Work, but the messages were far from professional. Flirty emojis, late-night texts, a picture of a woman in a silk dress captioned, "Wish you were here instead of her." Emily's hand shook. She wanted to throw the phone across the room, but she froze, reading every message like a masochist, each word stabbing deeper. The woman's name, as she later discovered, was Sofia Alvarez, a 25-year-old PR manager who had met Ryan at a corporate event. Stunning, confident, the type of woman who could silence a room just by walking in. The betrayal wasn't just physical, it was emotional. Ryan wasn't only sleeping with Sofia, he was confiding in her. He told her about his fears, his dreams, even about Emily, complaining that Emily was too focused on her career, that she didn't make him feel like a priority anymore. Emily felt like her world had collapsed. For hours she sat on the couch, numb, until Ryan came out of the shower, smiling, completely unaware that the secret he guarded so carefully had just detonated their relationship. But Emily didn't confront him. Not yet. Instead, she decided to play along. She wanted to understand just how deep this betrayal went. Was it a fling? Or was Ryan in love with Sofia? The next few weeks turned into a twisted game of deception. Emily pretended everything was fine, smiling, kissing him, cooking dinner, but every time Ryan left the house, she tracked him. She memorized Sofia's address, followed them to restaurants, even snapped pictures. It wasn't just heartbreak anymore, it became an investigation. And then came the night that changed everything. Emily was invited to a charity gala through work, an event that promised celebrities, CEOs, and Manhattan's elite. To her horror and fascination, she spotted Ryan there, with Sofia on his arm. They weren't hiding. They weren't discreet. They looked like a couple in love. Emily felt her blood boil. Her boyfriend of 5 years, parading around with another woman, in public, as if she didn't exist. Fueled by rage, Emily did something impulsive. She walked straight up to them. "Ryan," she said, her voice ice-cold, but trembling inside. Ryan froze, his face draining of color. Sofia turned, and Emily saw the flicker of recognition in her eyes. The woman knew exactly who Emily was, for a moment. The three of them stood locked in silence, the music and chatter of the gala swirling around them. And then Ryan whispered, barely audible, "Emily, you weren't supposed to be here." That sentence was the trigger. The carefully built facade of Emily's life shattered. She laughed, but it was the kind of laugh that came from pain too sharp to cry. "Not supposed to be here," she snapped. "You mean I wasn't supposed to catch you with her?" Gasps from nearby guests. Heads turned. Suddenly, the scandal wasn't private anymore. It was on display. But Sofia didn't flinch. Instead, she slipped her arm tighter around Ryan's. "You deserve better than this drama, Ryan," she said smoothly, her voice like venom wrapped in honey. She clearly can't handle the truth. Emily's vision blurred with fury. But before she could reply, Ryan said something that pierced deeper than all the lies combined. "Emily, I think we should talk. But not here, not now." He had humiliated her, broken her, and still he thought he could control when and how they had this conversation. That was the moment Emily realized she wasn't the victim anymore. She was going to turn this betrayal into a story the world would never forget, because she had a weapon Ryan didn't expect her career. Emily wasn't just any woman. She was a journalist, and scandals were her specialty. But would she expose Ryan and Sophia in her magazine, destroying their careers and reputations? Or would she dig deeper, discovering secrets even darker than infidelity? The choice would not only define her future, it would ignite a scandal that would ripple far beyond their relationship. The next morning, Emily woke up with a pounding headache, though she hadn't touched a drop of alcohol the night before. It was the hangover of betrayal, the aftermath of public humiliation. Every moment from the gala replayed in her mind like a movie she wished she could turn off. Ryan's guilty eyes, Sophia's smug smirk, the whispers of strangers who had witnessed the explosion of her carefully curated life. But unlike other mornings, Emily didn't cry. She didn't even scream. She sat at her kitchen table, a cup of black coffee in her hand, and opened her laptop. If Ryan wanted to play games, she would play harder. Emily worked as a features journalist, and though her magazine mostly focused on lifestyle and culture, she had enough connections in the industry to make sure a scandal like this didn't just disappear. She began her own investigation into Sophia. At first, she expected to find nothing more than Instagram-perfect pictures of vacations and PR campaigns. But what she found was unsettling. Sophia Alvarez wasn't just a PR manager. She had bounced between several companies, each time leaving under vague circumstances. One CEO described her as talented, but manipulative. Another refused to comment. A former coworker's LinkedIn post hinted at toxic office politics caused by a certain someone. It was as if Sophia left a trail of chaos everywhere she went. Emily dug deeper, calling in favors from old contacts in finance and PR. And then she found it. Sophia had been linked romantically to at least 3 other high-profile men in the city, all of whom had either lost their jobs, their marriages, or their reputations shortly after the relationships ended. Was Sophia just a serial homewrecker? Or was she playing a much bigger game? The more Emily uncovered, the more she became obsessed. She filled a notebook with names, dates, connections. And then she saw something that made her blood run cold. 2 years ago, Sophia had briefly worked for the very same financial firm where Ryan now held his prestigious position. And during that time, there had been rumors of insider trading scandals, rumors that never made it to the press because they were settled internally. Emily realized the truth. Sophia wasn't just sleeping with Ryan, she was using him. But why? One night, Emily followed Ryan again, dressed in a black coat and a scarf that concealed half her face. She watched from across the street as Ryan entered Sophia's apartment. The lights flickered on. Shadows danced behind the curtains. Emily felt the familiar sting of jealousy, but she forced herself to stay focused. Hours passed. Midnight, 1 a.m., and then it happened. Ryan left, but he wasn't alone. Sophia walked him out, kissed him, and then handed him something. A sleek black folder. Ryan tucked it under his arm and walked away, completely unaware that Emily's camera captured every second of it. The next day, Emily analyzed the photos. The folder looked like the kind of confidential report she had seen before in her magazine's business section. It wasn't a love letter. It wasn't lingerie. It was business. Now Emily had more questions than answers. Was Ryan willingly involved in something illegal? Or was Sophia pulling his strings? Her emotions spiraled. Heartbreak, fury, and now suspicion. But beneath it all was a burning desire for revenge. She decided to confront Sophia directly. It happened on a Wednesday afternoon. Emily waited outside Sophia's office building, dressed sharply, her journalist's badge tucked in her purse. When Sophia emerged in a beige trench coat and heels that clicked confidently against the pavement, Emily stepped forward. "Enjoying my boyfriend," Emily said, her voice calm but icy. Sophia turned, her lips curving into a smile that wasn't quite friendly. "Well, ex-boyfriend, technically," Sophia replied smoothly. "I thought we cleared that up at the gala." "You think you're clever," Emily shot back, "but I know what you're doing." I know about the men before Ryan. I know about the scandals. And I saw you hand him that folder. What's in it, Sophia? For the first time, Sophia's mask slipped just a flicker of annoyance before she smirked again. You really should stick to writing about restaurant openings and fashion trends, Emily, she said. This world, it's bigger than you. Ryan understands that, which is why he's with me, and not you. The word stung. But Emily held her ground. You're going to regret underestimating me. Sophia leaned closer, her perfume suffocating, her whisper sharp. Sweetheart, the only one who's going to regret anything is you. Walk away before you ruin your life. With that, Sophia strutted off, leaving Emily trembling with both rage and fear. But Emily wasn't backing down. The next few days were a blur of strategy. Emily had two choices: expose Ryan and Sophia in her magazine, blowing up their reputations instantly. Dig deeper, find out what was really going on behind that folder, and take them both down in a way they'd never recover from. She chose the second. Emily contacted a source, a whistleblower she had once interviewed about corporate corruption. He owed her a favor. She described the situation without giving names. The whistleblower warned her, if this woman is who I think she is, she's dangerous. She doesn't just ruin men for fun. She ruins them for profit. And anyone who gets in her way disappears. Emily's blood ran cold. That night, unable to sleep, Emily scrolled through Sophia's social media again. One picture caught her attention. Sophia at a luxury villa in the Hamptons. Caption: work hard, play harder. But something in the background caught Emily's trained journalist eye. Reflection in the glass window. A man in a suit. And it wasn't Ryan. The man was someone else entirely. Someone Emily recognized from a recent scandal involving embezzlement. The pieces started connecting like shards of broken glass. Sophia wasn't just a mistress. She was a player in something much bigger, a web of affairs, corruption, and financial crime. And Ryan, he was just her latest pawn. Emily finally understood. Exposing Ryan's cheating wasn't enough. She had the chance to bring down Sophia and maybe even an entire network of corruption, but doing so would mean putting herself in the line of fire. As she stared at the photos, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Stop digging. Last warning. Emily's hand shook. She looked out the window, suddenly hyper-aware of the shadows outside. Someone was watching her. Emily sat frozen, her phone glowing with that single, chilling text. Stop digging. Last warning. Her apartment, once a cozy refuge, suddenly felt like a cage. She locked the windows, double-checked the door, and turned off every light. Her journalist's instinct told her that someone wasn't just bluffing. This wasn't a prank. She was in over her head, but despite the fear gnawing at her stomach, she also felt something else: adrenaline. For the first time since the gala, Emily wasn't just a betrayed girlfriend. She was in control of the story. The next morning, she took a calculated risk. She didn't go to her office. Instead, she called her editor, claiming food poisoning. That gave her an entire day to pursue leads. She started by reaching out to her source again, the whistleblower. They met at a dingy cafe in Brooklyn, far away from the glossy skyscrapers of Manhattan. He wore a baseball cap low over his eyes and spoke in a hushed tone. You're playing with fire, he warned. Sophia Alvarez isn't just some mistress. She's connected to a shadow network that launders money through fake companies. She seduces powerful men, gains access to confidential information, and uses it as leverage. The folder you saw, that's not love letters, that's financial intel. Emily's breath caught. So Ryan is, what? Her puppet. Exactly. She makes men believe they're in control, but in reality, she's the one pulling every string. And if you're asking me, your boyfriend has no idea how deep he's already in. Emily scribbled notes in her journal, her hand trembling. But here's the dangerous part, the whistleblower continued. Once Sophia is done with a man, he either vanishes from the corporate world or something worse. There are rumors, suicides, accidents, none of it proven, but none of it coincidence either. Emily swallowed hard. For the first time, she considered the possibility that Ryan wasn't just unfaithful, he might be in actual danger. That night, Emily confronted Ryan. She waited in their apartment, pacing the floor until the sound of his key scraped against the lock. When he stepped inside, looking exhausted and distracted, Emily didn't waste time. We need to talk, she said, her voice sharp. Ryan froze. Emily, I don't think he. Don't you dare say not now. Her tone was colder than he had ever heard. I know everything. About Sophia. About the folder. About the money. His face went pale. What did you do? I'm a journalist, Ryan. I investigated. Did you really think you could hide this from me? Ryan dropped his briefcase on the floor, his hand shaking slightly. It's not what you think. Then tell me what it is, Emily snapped. For a long moment, Ryan just stared at her, his jaw tight. Finally, he exhaled, sinking onto the couch. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. At first, it was just exciting. She made me feel seen. She knew things about me, about my career, things I never told anyone. And then she started asking for favors. Small things, passing along documents, double-checking numbers. I thought it was harmless. Emily's stomach twisted. And now, Ryan buried his face in his hands. Now I don't know how to get out. She has things on me. Things that could ruin me. If I try to leave her, she'd destroy everything. My career, my reputation, us. Emily's laugh was bitter. Us. There is no us. You destroyed that the moment you touched her. Ryan looked up, his eyes desperate. Then help me, please. You're the only one I can trust. For a second, Emily almost felt pity. Almost, but then she remembered Sophia's venomous whisper. Walk away before you ruin your life. No, she wouldn't walk away. Over the next week, Emily and Ryan formed an uneasy alliance. He fed her information, dates, names, files while she compiled everything into a growing dossier. Together, they began mapping out Sophia's network. There were at least 4 other men currently entangled with her. A hedge fund manager, a tech CEO, a government consultant, each of them connected to companies. Sophia's PR campaigns just happened to represent. It wasn't seduction for love. It was seduction for power. But the deeper Emily dug, the more dangerous things became. She started noticing a black SUV parked near her building. Once, while leaving a coffee shop, she caught a man taking her photo. At night, the threatening texts multiplied. You're in over your head, stop, or you'll regret it. This is your last chance. Emily's hand shook each time she read them, but she didn't stop. Instead, she wrote. She drafted the beginnings of an expose piece so damning it could shatter Sophia's empire and protect every man she had ensnared. But before she could publish, something happened that made her question everything. It was a Friday evening when Ryan didn't come home. His phone went straight to voicemail. Emily tried not to panic, convincing herself he was with Sophia. But at midnight, there was still no sign of him. At 2 a.m., she called his office, only to learn he hadn't been there all day. By dawn, she was pacing the apartment, her heart pounding. And then came the knock. A plain envelope slid under her door. Inside was a single photo, Ryan, tied to a chair. His face bruised, his suit ripped. On the back, in neat handwriting, were 5 words, stop digging, or he dies. Emily's blood turned to ice. The betrayal, the heartbreak, the scandal. Suddenly, it didn't matter. Ryan's life was on the line. And Emily knew she was the only one who could save him. But could she outplay Sophia, a woman who had built an empire on manipulation and destruction? Or would she become the next victim in a game much darker than infidelity? The photo burned in Emily's hands. Ryan, beaten and bound, his eyes hollow with fear. It wasn't just a warning. It was a declaration. Sophia, or whoever was behind her, was capable of far more than manipulation and seduction. Emily sat on the floor of her apartment, knees pulled to her chest, the city's morning light creeping through the blinds. For the first time, she considered walking away. She could disappear, leave New York, and never look back. But then she thought about Ryan. For all his betrayal, for all the ways he had broken her heart, he didn't deserve this. No one did. She tucked the photo back into the envelope and whispered to herself, I'm not done. Emily reached out to her most trusted friend in journalism, Lena Morales, an investigative reporter who had exposed corrupt politicians and lived to tell the tale. Lena met her in a quiet diner on the Lower East Side. You're telling me, Lena said, stirring her coffee slowly, that your boyfriend's mistress runs a blackmail ring through corporate affairs and now he's been kidnapped? Emily nodded. It sounds insane, I know. But I have proof, files, photos. And this. She slid the envelope across the table. Lena studied the picture, her jaw tightening. This isn't just gossip. This is organized crime. I need your help, Emily said, her voice breaking for the first time. I can't go to the police. If they're as connected as I think, they'll know before the ink dries on the report. And Ryan doesn't have time. Lena leaned in. Then we do what we do best. We investigate, quietly, carefully, and when we're ready we expose them. For the first time in days, Emily felt less alone. They started by tracing Sophia's finances. Lena had contacts in cybersecurity, people who could peel back the glossy layers of her Instagram-perfect life. Within hours, they discovered offshore accounts, shell corporations, and money funneled through luxury real estate. But there was something else, a pattern. Every time Sophia began an affair with a powerful man, one of these companies suddenly exploded with capital. When the relationship ended, the company dissolved. Its profits hidden offshore. It was laundering. Plain and simple, and Ryan was just the latest cog in her machine. 3 nights later, Emily received another message. This time, it was a video. Ryan sat in a dark room, his lips split, his voice weak. "Emily," he croaked, "stop. Please, don't publish anything. Don't dig anymore. Just let it go." Then a gloved hand appeared on his shoulder, and the screen went black. Emily's stomach lurched. She replayed the clip over and over, analyzing every detail: the flickering bulb overhead, the faint hum of traffic, the sound of water dripping. She sent it to Lena, who recognized something Emily had missed. "That humming," Lena said. "It's from a generator." "And the traffic, listen closely, it's not Manhattan. That's the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway. He's close. Industrial area." For the first time, Emily had a lead. The next day, Emily and Lena drove through Brooklyn, combing through warehouses and abandoned buildings near the expressway. Hours passed with nothing but rusted gates and broken windows. But then Emily saw it, a black SUV, the same one that had been parked near her building. Her pulse spiked. They parked a block away, watching from the shadows. 2 men in suits exited the SUV, disappearing into a warehouse. "This is it," Emily whispered. Lena grabbed her arm. "Wait, you can't just walk in there." But Emily was already moving. Inside the warehouse, the air smelled of oil and mildew. The floor was littered with old machinery. And in the center of the room, under a single hanging bulb, was Ryan. His head jerked up when he saw her. "Emily, what the hell are you?" Before he could finish, a voice echoed through the space. Well. The loyal girlfriend turned detective. Sophia stepped out of the shadows, her heels clicking on the concrete. Dressed in black, she looked every bit the villain Emily had imagined. "I warned you," Sophia said calmly. "But you just couldn't help yourself, could you? Always digging. Always needing the truth." Emily's heart pounded, but she forced herself to stand tall. "Let him go. He's not worth your empire. You've already won." Sophia smirked. "This was never about winning or losing, darling. It's about control. Ryan made himself useful. Now he's disposable. And you've been more of a nuisance than I anticipated." She gestured, and the 2 suited men stepped closer to Emily. For a moment, Emily thought it was over. But then Lena burst through the side door, wielding a camera and shouting, "Smile for the press, sweetheart." The flash blinded everyone. In the chaos, Emily sprinted to Ryan, fumbling with the ropes. The men lunged, but Lena swung the camera like a weapon, buying Emily precious seconds. Finally, Ryan was free. They stumbled toward the exit, Sophia's furious voice chasing them. "This isn't over, Emily. You've just made the biggest mistake of your life." They escaped into the night, but Emily knew Sophia wasn't bluffing. She had declared war, and Sophia never lost. Back at Lena's apartment, Ryan lay on the couch, battered but alive. Emily sat across from him, exhaustion weighing on her. "Why didn't you tell me the truth from the start?" she whispered. Ryan's voice was raw. "Because I thought I could handle it. I thought I could play her game. But she's not just one woman, Emily. She's connected to something bigger. You don't understand." Emily's stomach dropped. "Then explain it to me." Ryan looked at her, guilt etched in every line of his face. "She's not working alone. There are people, powerful people behind her. CEOs, politicians, people who'd rather kill us than let this story get out." Emily's blood ran cold. She thought she was fighting Sophia, but in reality, she had stepped into a labyrinth of power, corruption, and danger that stretched far beyond anything she could imagine. And now, she was in too deep to walk away. The dim light of Lena's apartment flickered against Ryan's bruised face. Emily sat on the edge of her chair, notebook in hand, staring at him as though he were both a stranger and the only key to survival. "You're telling me," she said slowly, "that Sophia isn't the mastermind. She's just a piece." Ryan nodded, wincing as he adjusted his swollen jaw. "She's dangerous, yes, But she answers to others. Men and women in boardrooms, not bedrooms. People who've been laundering billions for years. Sophia is their weapon. Seduction and scandal are her currency. She gets them leverage, then they move the money. Emily scribbled furiously. Names. I need names. Ryan hesitated. If I say them, we're already dead. You've already been kidnapped. Ryan, we are already dead. Emily snapped. The room went silent. Lena, sitting by the window with her camera, finally broke the tension. We don't need names yet. We need proof, something undeniable. Something we can publish that forces law enforcement to act, no matter how high the stakes. Otherwise, they'll bury us before the ink dries. Emily's chest tightened. Proof. That was the word that had kept her alive as a journalist. But now it was the word that might get her killed. The next few days were a blur of strategy. Emily and Lena split the work. Lena digging through financial records, Emily chasing the human angle, and Ryan begrudgingly feeding them what scraps he remembered from his time with Sophia. Patterns emerged. Sophia didn't just seduce men randomly. Each was positioned in finance, government, or tech. Each had access to sensitive data, and each collapsed mysteriously after their involvement with her ended. But then Emily stumbled across something chilling. A leaked email chain buried deep in Ryan's old work server that linked Sophia not only to executives, but to politicians, senators, lobbyists, even foreign officials. The wording was vague, coded, but one phrase stood out. The girl has delivered again. Use the leverage. Move the funds. Emily read the line over and over, goosebumps rising on her skin. The girl, that was Sophia. This wasn't a scandal. It was a conspiracy. That night, as rain hammered against the window, Emily confronted Ryan again. How much did you give her? She demanded. What did she take from you? Ryan stared at the floor. Quarterly reports, internal forecasts, market strategies. At first, I thought it was harmless stuff that couldn't do much damage. But she connected the dots. She knew how to use it. And then she started asking for more. Access codes, client lists, things that could ruin entire portfolios if they leaked. Emily's stomach twisted. And you just handed it over? Ryan's voice cracked. I didn't have a choice. She had photos, emails, things that could destroy me. I thought I was protecting us, protecting you. Emily laughed bitterly. Protecting me? By cheating on me with a woman who turned out to be a criminal mastermind's puppet. Ryan flinched but said nothing. Lena cut in. Enough. We don't have time for guilt. Either we finish this, or we all end up in a warehouse like Ryan. Emily exhaled, steadying herself. She had a decision to make. Publish what they had now and risk retaliation. Or go deeper, so deep that when the story broke, not even the most powerful could bury it. She chose deeper. Their break came sooner than expected. A name appeared again and again in the files. They traced Victor Lang, a billionaire philanthropist known publicly for funding hospitals and charities. Privately, his shell companies aligned perfectly with Sophia's movements. Every affair, every financial spike, every collapse, Lang's fingerprints were there. He's the one, Lena whispered as they pored over the documents. He's the spider in the middle of the web. Emily's pulse raced. Then Sophia isn't the queen. She's just his pawn. But Ryan shook his head. No, she's more than a pawn. She's his enforcer. His insurance policy. She's the one who makes men bleed so Lang can clean their money. The weight of it settled over Emily. They weren't just dealing with a scandal. They were up against a billionaire with global influence and a woman who had already proven she would do anything to protect him. And then the message came. This time, it wasn't a threat. It was an invitation. A sleek black envelope slid under the door of Lena's apartment. Inside was a card embossed with gold letters. Emily Carter. Dinner. Tomorrow night. The Lang estate. On the back, a handwritten note. Bring your curiosity. Leave your courage. Emily's breath caught. He knows. He knows everything. Ryan's face drained of color. You can't go. If you walk into his house, you'll never come out. But Emily's resolve hardened. If I don't, he'll keep winning. Sophia will keep winning. And we'll never get Ryan's life back. Or mine. Lena gripped her arm. Then we're going with you. You're not facing this monster alone. The following evening, Emily found herself standing before the towering iron gates of the Lang estate, the city lights far behind her. The mansion loomed in the darkness, every window glowing like an eye. She wore a black dress, simple, elegant, chosen not for seduction, but but for armor. Ryan and Lena flanked her, equally tense. As the gates creaked open, Emily whispered to herself, "This is it. The story of my life. The story that could end my life." Inside, the world smelled of money and menace. Crystal chandeliers sparkled above. Guards in tailored suits lined the walls. And at the head of the dining tables, at Victor Lang, silver-haired, smiling, the very picture of benevolence, "Ms. Carter," he said warmly, rising to greet her. "I've heard so much about you. I must say, you have a talent for causing complications." And then, stepping out from behind him like a shadow, was Sophia. Her eyes locked on Emily's, and her smile was sharper than any blade. "Welcome to the real game," Sophia purred. The dining room glowed with warm candlelight, but there was nothing comforting about it. The long mahogany table was set with silver cutlery, crystal glasses, and plates of food too exquisite to touch. At its head sat Victor Lang, the billionaire whose name had begun to haunt Emily's every thought. He looked nothing like the monster she had imagined. His suit was immaculate, his smile disarmingly kind, and his voice smooth as velvet. Yet beneath the charm lay a sharpness of predator who enjoyed watching his prey squirm. "Please," Victor gestured to the seats across from him. "Sit, eat. It's not often I get to dine with such spirited company." Emily, Ryan, and Lena exchanged wary glances before taking their seats. Sophia slid gracefully into the chair beside Victor, crossing her legs with deliberate elegance. Her eyes never left Emily's, as though daring her to flinch. Victor raised a glass of wine. "To courage," he said, "because only courage brings a woman like you into my house." Emily didn't raise her glass. "You mean arrogance. You thought I wouldn't find you. But here I am." Victor chuckled, sipping slowly. "And what do you plan to do with what you found, Ms. Carter? Write a fiery article? Publish some scandal? Do you truly believe ink and paper can bring down empires?" Lena leaned forward, her camera bag at her feet. "History proves it can," Sophia smirked. "History also proves that people who try end up forgotten." The words hung heavy in the air. Victor folded his hands, studying Emily with unnerving calm. "You're talented, persistent, dangerous, even. But you've made a mistake, my dear. You've personalized this. You think it's about infidelity, about betrayal. It's not. It's about power. And power is not taken with stories. Power is taken with fear." Emily's pulse quickened, but she refused to look away. "Then why invite me here? If you're so powerful, why not silence me already?" Victor's smile widened. "Because you fascinate me. Most crumble under Sophia's touch. They beg, they break. But you." His gaze sharpened. "Now you fight. And I admire fighters." Sophia's hand brushed his arm. "She's reckless. Admiration won't change that." Victor ignored her, his attention locked on Emily. "I'll give you a choice. Walk away now. Forget everything. And I'll make you untouchable. Money, influence, your name in lights. Or," he leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper, "continue down this path, and you'll drag yourself, your friends, and your lover into an abyss so deep, no one will remember your name." For a long moment, the room was silent, but for the faint clink of cutlery. Emily felt every eye on her, every ounce of pressure crushing down. She wanted to scream. She wanted to throw the wine in Victor's face, to lunge across the table at Sophia. But instead, she leaned back, steadying her breath. "You think fear will make me walk away," Emily said quietly. "But fear is why people need the truth. You control men with secrets. I'll destroy you with them." Sophia's smile faltered. Victor, however, laughed deep, genuine laughter that echoed through the cavernous dining hall. "You remind me of myself when I was young," he said. "Idealistic, brave, stupid." Suddenly, the doors burst open. 2 guards stormed in, dragging a man between them. Blooded, disheveled, his suit torn. Emily's heart stopped. It was the whistleblower, the man who had helped her trace Sophia's network. Victor stood, his voice calm, but laced with menace. "This man thought he could hide from me. Thought he could whisper truths in dark corners." He nodded to the guards. Without hesitation, one guard struck the whistleblower across the face. He crumpled, groaning in pain. Emily shot to her feet. "Stop. He's done nothing wrong." Victor tilted his head. "Wrong. He betrayed me. And betrayal has a cost." He reached into his jacket, pulling out a sleek pistol, and set it on the table beside his wine glass. The metal glinted under the chandelier. "Ms. Carter," Victor said softly, "since you care so much, The choice is yours. Publish your story, and this man dies. Walk away, and he lives. Which truth matters more, yours or his? The room spun. Emily's mind screamed, torn between her duty as a journalist and the weight of a life in her hands. Sophia leaned forward, her eyes gleaming. Tick-tock, darling. Make your choice. Emily's hands trembled as she looked at the whistleblower, then at Ryan, then at Lena. The enormity of it pressed down on her chest. If she walked away, she'd be complicit in the silence. If she published, innocent people would pay the price. She clenched her fists. You're a coward, Lang. You hide behind blood and fear. But I don't break that easily. Victor's smile faded, just slightly. Then you've chosen. He snapped his fingers. The guards dragged the whistleblower out. A door slammed in the distance. Emily prayed it wasn't the last time she would ever see him alive. Victor sat back down, pouring himself another glass of wine. You've declared war, Ms. Carter, and wars have casualties. Remember that. Sophia leaned closer, her whisper slicing into Emily's ear. You just signed his death warrant. And maybe yours, that night. Back in Lena's car, Emily stared out the window. Her reflection fractured in the rain-streaked glass. I couldn't save him, she whispered. Ryan reached for her hand, but she pulled away. Don't, not now. Lena drove in silence until she finally said, we have enough to publish. Emails, financials, ties to Lang, even your encounter tonight. It's enough to blow this open. Emily shook her head. Not yet. If we publish now, Lang buries us. We need something bigger. The smoking gun. Ryan's voice was hoarse. And where the hell do we find that? Emily turned, her eyes burning with fury and resolve. In his house. In his files. In Sophia's hands. We go back in. We take everything. Ryan stared at her like she was insane. Lena, however, grinned. Now you're talking. Emily knew the game had shifted. This wasn't about catching a cheating boyfriend anymore. This was about dismantling a machine of corruption so vast it could swallow the world. But with every move forward, the danger grew sharper. Lives had already been lost. More would follow, and as she lay awake that night, the image of the whistleblower's broken face seared into her mind. Emily asked herself the question she could no longer ignore. How many people would have to die before the truth was worth it? Sleep was impossible. Emily lay in bed, staring at the ceiling as the city hummed outside her window. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the whistleblower's battered face. Every time she tried to calm her breath, she heard Victor Lang's voice echoing in her head. Wars have casualties. She couldn't let that be true. Not this time. By sunrise, her mind was set. She, Lena, and Ryan weren't going to wait for Victor and Sophia to make the next move. They were going to strike first. At Lena's apartment, the three of them gathered around a cluttered table littered with laptops, documents, and photographs. Lena had already hacked into one of Lang's secondary servers, something she claimed was easy, though the string of numbers and codes on her screen looked like hieroglyphics to Emily. I found something, Lena said, tapping a key. Lang's estate isn't just a mansion. It's a fortress. Cameras, guards, encrypted networks. But as she leaned closer, her eyes gleaming, every fortress has a weakness. His study, Emily frowned. Why there? Because it's the only room not connected to the main surveillance grid, Lena explained. That means whatever he keeps in there, he doesn't want on record. If we get into that study, we'll find what we need. Ryan exhaled shakily. And how exactly do we get into a billionaire's mansion? Walk up and knock? Lena smirked. Better. We slip in while the guards are distracted. Lang's hosting a gala tomorrow night for some foundation. All the cameras, all the security will be focused on the event. That's our window, Emily's heart thudded. So we're breaking in. Not just breaking in, Lena said. We're breaking him. The next evening arrived too quickly. Emily slipped into a sleek black dress and heels, an outfit that looked like it belonged at Lang's gala, but lightweight enough to move in. Ryan wore a tuxedo, his nervousness hidden behind a mask of charm. Lena, dressed in a fitted suit, carried her ever-present camera bag, though this time its hidden compartments held more than just lenses. The estate was alive with light and laughter, cars pulling up to the grand entrance, spilling out senators, CEOs, and celebrities. The perfect stage for corruption, Emily thought. Inside, chandeliers sparkled, waiters weaved through the crowd with champagne, and Victor Lang stood at the center, like a king among courtiers. Sophia was beside him, stunning in a crimson gown, her smile like poison wrapped in silk. Emily felt Sophia's eyes catch hers across the room. For the briefest moment, their gazes locked, and Emily swore Sophia knew exactly why she was there. "Stick to the plan," Lena whispered, tugging Emily's arm. The three split up. Ryan mingled with guests, using his finance background to slip into conversations unnoticed. Lena moved toward the service halls, her camera dangling innocently from her neck. Emily walked the edge of the ballroom, heart pounding, until she found the hallway leading to Lang's private wing. A guard blocked the path. "Restricted," he said gruffly. Emily flashed her best smile. "Oh, of course. I must have gotten turned around." She leaned closer, lowering her voice. "But Mr. Lang asked me to meet him in his study. I'm sure you don't want to be the one to delay me." The guard hesitated, suspicion in his eyes. Emily's pulse spiked. Then, behind her, Lena appeared. "There you are," Lena said loudly, gripping Emily's arm. "Come on, the senator's waiting for us." She flashed her press badge at the guard. "Will only be a minute," the guard grunted, stepping aside. Once out of sight, Emily exhaled shakily. "Nice save. Don't thank me yet," Lena muttered. "We're not out of this alive unless we move fast." Lang's study was everything Emily expected: grand, intimidating, and suffocating with wealth. Mahogany shelves lined with leather-bound books. A massive desk of polished oak. A painting of Lang himself, smirking down like a king. But what caught Lena's eye was the safe hidden behind the painting. "Classic," Lena muttered. She knelt, pulling a small device from her bag. "Give me 5 minutes," Emily paced, nerves fraying with every tick of the clock. She thought of Victor in the ballroom, charming his guests, oblivious or perhaps fully aware that they were in his sanctuary. Ryan slipped into the room moments later, his face pale. "Sophia's looking for you," he whispered. "She's asking questions." Emily's chest tightened. "She knows." Before Lena could respond, the safe clicked open. She pulled the door wide and gasped. Inside were stacks of documents, hard drives, and envelopes marked with government seals. But it wasn't just financial records. It was blackmail. Photos of politicians in compromising positions. Letters confessing to affairs. Audio recordings of conversations that could topple governments. "Oh my God," Emily whispered. "This isn't just money laundering. He owns them. All of them." Lena shoved as much as she could into her bag. "We have enough to bury him 100 times over." But then came the sound they dreaded, the creak of the door. Sophia stood there, framed in the doorway, her crimson gown glowing like blood in the dim light. "Well," she purred, "I should have known you'd come back." 2 guards loomed behind her, their guns gleaming. Emily's breath caught. Lena froze, clutching the bag of evidence. Ryan stood rigid, shame and fear etched on his face. Sophia stepped inside, her smile razor sharp. "You're predictable, Emily. Brave, yes, stubborn, but predictable. And now you've stolen from the one man in this world you should never cross." Emily forced herself to stand tall. "You can threaten me all you want, but the truth is already out. We have what we need. You can't stop us." Sophia's smile widened. "Can't I?" She snapped her fingers. The guards stepped forward, guns raised. For a heartbeat, Emily thought it was over. But then Lena whispered fiercely, "Run!" She hurled the camera bag through the window. Glass shattered, alarms blared, and chaos erupted. Emily grabbed Ryan's arm, dragging him toward the hall as bullets cracked behind them. Guards shouted. Guests screamed in the ballroom. The Lang estate dissolved into pandemonium. They didn't stop running until they burst out into the cold night, lungs burning. The sound of sirens already in the distance. Lena clutched the bag to her chest, panting. "We've got it. We've got everything." Emily's hands shook as she stared at the mansion, lights flashing, guards swarming. She knew they had just declared open war, and she knew Sophia wasn't done with her yet. The night they escaped Lang's mansion, Emily couldn't stop shaking. Her dress was torn, glass cuts ran across her arms, and her ears still rang from the gunfire. But in Lena's trembling hands was the baggie, the evidence that could finally destroy Victor Lang. They had won a battle, but wars are never that simple. Back at Lena's apartment, the three of them spread the contents of the bag across the floor. Documents, photographs, drives, recordings. A decade's worth of corruption meticulously archived. Lena plugged a drive into her laptop, her fingers flying across the keyboard. "Encrypted," she muttered. "Of course. But give me time." Ryan sat on the couch, his head in his hands. "Do you even realize what we're holding? These aren't just dirty secrets. This is This is leverage over senators, governors, CEOs. Half the damn country. Emily crouched beside him. That's why it matters. Lang built an empire on blackmail and lies. We end this, Ryan. We end him. Ryan looked up, his eyes haunted. Or we paint a target so big on our backs we don't live long enough to publish. Emily didn't answer. Because he was right. By morning, Lena cracked the first layer of encryption. Files bloomed across her screen, financial transfers, photos, even video clips. Emily scrolled through one folder, her stomach twisting. A senator, caught in a hotel room with someone not his wife. A governor accepting a suitcase of cash. A celebrity whispering deals into a microphone at a private party. This is, she whispered. It's enough to burn the whole system down. Lena smirked grimly. Which is exactly why we're going to leak it. She reached for her secure upload server. But before she could click, the laptop screen went black. What though she started? Then froze. A red message filled the screen. We see you. Emily's blood ran cold. They hacked us. Lena yanked the power cord, but it was too late. The drives in the bag word, then clicked, locked down. The files were still there, but access was gone. No. Lena's hand shook. They shut us out. They're in our system already. The knock at the door was too soft to be normal. Ryan's head snapped up. Don't. Emily pressed a finger to her lips. Lena quickly stuffed the bag under the couch. The knock came again. Then a voice, smooth, familiar. Emily, open the door. We need to talk. Sophia. Emily's heart pounded. She mouthed, don't move, but the door creaked open anyway. Sophia stepped inside as if she owned the place, her crimson lipstick flawless, her heels clicking against the hard wood floor. Two men in black suits flanked her, silent, armed. She looked at the chaos, the scattered files, the laptop, the pale faces. And she smiled. Messy, she said. I expected more from you. Emily. Ryan stood, fists clenched. How the hell did you find us? Sophia's eyes glimmered. Darling, Lang doesn't need to find you. He already owns the air you breathe. She turned her gaze on Emily. I told you. Predictable. You think you're exposing corruption? You're just rearranging pieces on a chessboard you'll never control. Emily forced herself to stand. If we're so insignificant, why are you here? Sophia tilted her head, her smile sharp. Because you're not insignificant, Emily. You're dangerous. Too dangerous to ignore. And Victor likes dangerous women. She stepped closer, her perfume thick in the air. You should have taken his offer. Money, influence, you could have been untouchable. Instead, you've chosen the path of martyrs. And martyrs always end the same way. Her eyes lingered, softening for a fraction of a second. Burned, forgotten. Lena snapped. Get out, or I swear. One of the guards raised his weapon. Sophia lifted a hand lazily. Don't. They're not worth the bullet, yet. She looked back at Emily. You have one chance left. Walk away. Destroy what you took. Swear silence. And maybe if Victor lets you breathe. Emily's jaw tightened. And if I don't? Sophia's smile widened, cruel and beautiful. Then we ruin you. Every secret you've ever tried to bury, every weakness you've ever shown, every person you've ever loved, we'll drag them into the light and watch them drown. Not because we have to, but because it amuses us. With that, she turned, heels clicking as she left. The guards followed, shutting the door behind them. The silence after was deafening. Lena slammed her fist on the table. She's bluffing. She has to be bluffing. Emily didn't answer, because deep down, she knew Sophia wasn't bluffing at all. Ryan looked at Emily, his voice breaking. They'll come after us. Not just us, our families, our friends. Is this really worth it? Emily's hand shook as she stared at the locked drives. The truth was right there, but the cost of unleashing it was growing heavier every second. Her voice was barely a whisper. It has to be worth it, or everything means nothing. That night, Emily received a text from an unknown number. You want the real truth? Meet me, tomorrow, midnight, Pier 17, alone. Her blood turned to ice. Ryan and Lena argued for hours, begging her not to go, calling it a trap. But Emily couldn't shake the feeling that whoever sent that message had the key, the one piece that could unravel everything. When midnight came, Emily stood on the empty pier, the city lights glittering across the water. A shadow stepped forward. A man, hooded, limping. It was the whistleblower. Alive. Emily, he rasped. You don't know the half of it. Lang isn't just blackmailing officials. He's building something bigger. Something global. And Sophia, he staggered, clutching his chest. Emily rushed forward just in time to catch him. He collapsed, blood spreading across his shirt. His final words rasped against her ear. Trust no one. Not even his body went limp. Emily froze, horror ripping through her. His last sentence unfinished, a warning that cut deeper than any bullet. She wasn't sure what was worse, that Lang's empire was bigger than she had imagined, or that she had no idea who around her she could actually trust. Not even Ryan, not even Lena, maybe, not even herself. The whistleblower's body lay in Emily's arms, his final words echoing like a curse. Trust no one, not even. And then silence, the unfinished warning gnawed at her. Not even who? Not even Ryan. Not even Lena. The thought twisted in her gut until she could barely breathe. Sirens wailed in the distance. Emily staggered to her feet, wiping blood from her trembling hands. She couldn't be found here, not with him. She ran into the shadows, her heart pounding, every step heavier than the last. By the time she slipped back into Lena's apartment, dawn was breaking. Ryan was pacing. Where the hell were you? We were going insane. Emily's voice was raw. He was alive. The whistleblower. He called me to the pier. Both Ryan and Lena froze. What? Lena demanded. You went alone. He's dead now, Emily said, her throat tightening. Shot right in front of me. But before he died, he said something. He said I shouldn't trust anyone. Not even. She broke off, unable to finish. Ryan's face hardened. Not even what? Emily shook her head. He didn't say. He couldn't. Lena slammed her fist on the table. Then it was a trap. They used him to get in your head. To make you paranoid. That's what Sophia wants, to tear us apart from the inside. Emily wanted to believe that. She really did. But the way Ryan's eyes darted to the floor, the way Lena avoided her gaze, every small gesture now felt like evidence of betrayal. The next days blurred together. Lena kept working on the encrypted drives, barely sleeping, muttering lines of code under her breath. Ryan buried himself in research, trying to cross-reference names and transactions. Emily floated between them, restless, uneasy. Watching at night, she dreamt of Sophia whispering in her ear. Not even him. Not even her. 3 nights later, Lena called out, "Got it." Emily and Ryan rushed over. On the laptop screen, a folder blinked open. Inside were files labeled Project Orpheus. Emily clicked. What she saw made her stomach drop. It wasn't just blackmail. It was infrastructure. Blueprints for data centers across multiple countries. Contracts with private security firms. Emails between Victor Lang and government officials discussing surveillance programs. This isn't about money, Lena whispered. It's control. Total control. Every phone call, every transaction, every secret. Lang wants his hands on all of it. Ryan rubbed his temples. This is beyond anything we can publish. If this is real, it's not just corruption. It's a global coup in slow motion. Emily's hand shook. Then we don't just publish. We drop everything. Every file. Every name. No filter. But before they could decide, a new email notification pinged on Lena's screen. From unknown sender subject. You can't trust them. One of them already belongs to us. The 3 froze. Lena's face went pale. That's a fake. Has to be. Ryan swallowed hard. They're trying to pit us against each other. Standard psychological warfare. Emily's pulse raced. Or it's true. The room filled with silence, heavy, suffocating. Emily scanned their faces, searching for guilt, for some flicker of truth. But all she saw were 2 people she thought she knew. And suddenly DIDN single quotes T. Later that night, Emily sat on the fire escape, staring at the city lights. Ryan slipped out quietly, sitting beside her. You don't believe that email, do you? He asked softly. Emily didn't answer. Ryan's voice cracked. After everything? After we risked our lives together? You think I'd sell you out? She finally turned, searching his face. The man she loved. The man she had once trusted with everything. Then tell me the truth, Emily said. Why were you really at Lang's gala that night? Before you found us in the study. Where were you? Ryan froze. Just for a second. But it was enough. Her stomach dropped. Oh my God, it's not what you think, Ryan said quickly, grabbing her hand. Emily, listen as she pulled away. Don't you dare. His voice rose, desperate. I didn't betray you. Yes, I talked to Sophia, but it was to protect you. She cornered me, said if I didn't cooperate, she'd have you killed. I thought I could buy us time. Emily's chest heaved. You lied to me. I didn't have a choice. Ryan shouted. I love you, Emily. I would do anything to keep you alive, even if it means playing their game for a while. Her hand shook. She wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to. But Sophia's words echoed again. Not even him. When Emily went back inside, Lena was watching them. Her eyes narrowed. What was that about? Nothing, Emily lied. But Lena didn't look convinced. And for the first time, Emily realized she might not be able to trust either of them. That night, Emily couldn't sleep. She crept to Lena's laptop, needing to see the Project Orpheus files again, to ground herself in the mission. But when she opened the laptop, the folder was gone, deleted. Her blood turned to ice. She spun, scanning the dark apartment. Ryan asleep on the couch. Lena in her room. Her mind screamed. One of them took it. One of them erased everything. The next morning, Lena stormed into the kitchen. Where are the Orpheus files? Emily froze. They're gone. You think this is funny? Lena snapped. You were the last one near my laptop. Did you wipe them? Emily's voice broke. No, I swear. Ryan staggered in, his face pale. Stop. This is exactly what Lang wants. To turn us against each other. But Emily's voice was sharp, trembling with fury. Then explain how the files disappeared overnight. Silence. No one spoke, and in that silence, Emily understood the whistleblower's warning. The betrayal wasn't coming. It had already happened. That afternoon, Emily found a note slipped under the apartment door. No envelope. Just a single line in elegant handwriting. He's already mine. She soon will be. Emily's hand shook so badly she almost dropped it. She didn't know if he meant Ryan or someone else. She didn't know if she meant Lena or herself, but one thing was certain. Sophia was closing in, and Emily was running out of people she could trust. Emily barely remembered what it felt like to breathe without fear. Every shadow felt like a threat. Every glance from Ryan or Lena felt poisoned with secrets. The note in Sophia's handwriting burned in her pocket. He's already mine. She soon will be. The war was no longer about Lang, no longer about exposing corruption. It was about survival. And survival meant facing the truth she had been too afraid to admit. One of them had betrayed her. The three of them sat in silence around Lena's kitchen table, the air thick with tension. Coffee cups sat untouched, laptops closed. No one trusted anyone enough to work anymore. Finally, Emily broke the silence. The Orpheus files didn't just vanish. Someone deleted them. Someone in this room. Lena's eyes flared. Don't look at me. Those files were my lifeline. If anyone wanted them gone, it was Ryan. Ryan slammed his fist on the table. That's bullshit. You're the hacker here, Lena. You could have hidden them in a dozen places and pretended they were gone just to pit us against each other. Emily's voice cut through the noise, trembling but firm. Stop, both of you. We're not going to scream our way to the truth. We're going to prove it. She pulled out her phone, setting it on the table. Lang and Sophia think they own the board. Fine, let's invite them to play. Tonight, we call them. We set a meeting. Whoever tips them off before it happens. That's our traitor. The plan was simple. Dangerous, but simple. Emily sent a message through one of the channels Sophia had used before. We need to talk. Midnight. Old train station. No games. Then they waited. Hours crawled by. Tension stretched thin. Every minute an accusation. Ryan paced the apartment, muttering under his breath. Lena sat rigid, arms crossed, glaring at the floor. Emily stayed still, pretending calm, while inside her heart beat like a war drum. By 11:45, they headed to the station. A cavernous, abandoned building on the edge of the city. Its glass roof cracked, its walls covered in graffiti. Emily stood in the shadows, waiting. If Sophia and Lang appeared, it meant one of them had made the call. Midnight struck. The air was still. Too still. Then headlights sliced through the darkness. Black SUVs rolled into the station, tires screeching. Doors flew open. Armed men spilled out like shadows with guns. Emily's blood froze. Sophia emerged last, radiant as ever in a tailored coat, her smile glinting even in the dark. Oh, Emily, you never disappoint. Emily's heart sank. It was true. The trap had been sprung. She turned slowly, her eyes locking first on Ryan, then on Lena. Which one of you? She whispered. Sophia laughed softly. Why don't we put an end to the suspense? She raised a manicured hand, and one of the guards yanked Ryan forward, shoving him to his knees. Ryan's face twisted with fury. "Emily, it's not me. I swear." Sophia crouched beside him, stroking his cheek like a lover. "He's telling the truth. In his own way. He didn't sell you out. Not directly. He just thought he could outsmart me. Poor boy didn't realize he was already mine." Emily's breath caught. Sophia stood, her gaze sliding to Lena. "But her? Well, that's another story." Emily's stomach dropped. "No." Lena's face was pale, her jaw clenched. "She didn't deny it." Sophia clapped slowly, savoring the moment. "Oh, Emily, you really thought this little team of yours could take down an empire?" "Lena was mine from the very beginning. She fed me crumbs, let you think you were winning, all while guiding you exactly where I wanted." Emily's voice cracked. "Lena, tell me she's lying." Lena finally met her eyes, and the silence was the answer. Emily's knees nearly buckled. Betrayal cut sharper than any knife. Ryan roared, straining against the guard's grip. "You bitch." Lena's eyes glistened. "It wasn't supposed to go this far, Emily. I thought if I helped them, they'd let us live. But Lang doesn't give mercy. He never did. I was just trying to survive." Emily's tears burned hot. "You could have told me. We could have fought together." Lena shook her head. "And get us all killed faster? You don't get it. You don't know how deep this goes." Sophia stepped forward, tilting her head, her eyes sparkling with victory. "So, Emily, what now? Your lover broken. Your friend revealed as a traitor. Your precious files erased. You're standing on ashes." Emily's hands curled into fists. "You think this is over? You think breaking me means you win?" Sophia's smile widened. "Oh, darling, I don't need to win. I just need you to lose." She lifted a hand. The guards raised their weapons. Ryan shouted. Lena turned away, tears streaming. Emily closed her eyes, bracing for the end. But then, sirens, blue and red lights flooded through the shattered windows. Police stormed the station, shouting orders, weapons raised. Sophia's face flickered, surprise breaking her composure for the first time. Emily's heart leapt. She had made one last move, a call to a trusted contact at a major news outlet. She hadn't trusted Ryan or Lena, but she had trusted herself. She'd leaked everything, the blackmail, the names, even the Orpheus Project. And now the world was watching. Chaos erupted. Gunfire, shouts, smoke. Emily dragged Ryan toward the exit as Lena screamed behind them. She didn't look back. Couldn't. They burst into the cold night, sirens wailing, helicopters circling. The empire of Victor Lang was cracking open under the weight of its own secrets. But Sophia slipped away in the chaos, her shadow vanishing into the dark. Weeks later, Emily sat at a cafe. Headlines flashing across every screen. Billionaire Victor Lang, indicted in global corruption. Scandal. Project Orpheus exposed. Mass surveillance scheme revealed. Key. Associate Sophia Duval missing. Authorities launch. Manhunt. Ryan slid into the seat across from her. He was bruised, tired, but alive. "We did it." Emily stirred her coffee, her hand steady for the first time in months. "No, we survived." "That's not the same thing." Ryan reached for her hand. "Then what now?" Emily looked out the window, at a world that suddenly seemed brighter, but still dangerous. "Now," she said quietly, "we wait. Because Sophia's still out there. And she doesn't lose gracefully, somewhere in another city." Sophia stood on a balcony, glass of champagne in hand. The news blared behind her. Her own name splashed across the scandal, and she smiled, because this wasn't the end. Not for her. It was only the beginning.